Hi everyone, my name is Molly. I'm a wedding photographer that's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and known to travel anywhere and everywhere I can find a travel deal to. Today's video is 4 things that you should do immediately after getting engaged. You should do these things before you really reach out to any of your vendors, mainly because they're going to ask you these questions anyways, and if you've already got the answers to this question, you're ahead of the game, and all of us wedding vendors applaud you for it. All of these things, these 4 things, are also going to help prevent some conflicts down the road because planning a wedding is surprisingly stressful. Who knew that the happiest day of your life could be so stressful to plan to get there? Tip number 1, sit down and establish your guest list. Pretty much every vendor that you're going to reach out to is going to establish their quote based off the amount of people that you're inviting to your wedding. So having that number on the front end will save you like 4 emails and 3 extra steps that you didn't really need to do because you already did the legwork. I also encourage you to invite your parents onto this list because they are going to have a say whether you want them to or not. Maybe that's just a Southern mama experience. Who knows? That's beside the point. But include your parents on this discussion. I would highly encourage you to be realistic about this number, but it's still a preliminary number, and you're going to revise this list a couple times, which is totally fine and I highly encourage you to do. Also, having this number is going to help set up the rest of the 3 tips that I'm going to give you. Tip number 2, determine your budget. I highly encourage you to sit down with your fiance and have a very upfront conversation about what your budget is for this wedding. Have your goal on what this budget is, your absolute stretch, and your complete cap that you're like, we literally cannot afford anymore. Some couples even choose to open a specific bank account that they put money into that's dedicated solely for the wedding. If you are a visual person like me, this is super duper helpful to be able to visually see when the money is leaving the account, but also how much money is left in there so that you, again, if you're a visual person like me and maybe not the best at budgeting, this can be really helpful for you. Alternatively, you can use apps like You Need a Budget or Mint or any other app that you can help budget your wedding with. Again, if you're a visual person, this is really nice because you can categorize things and just kind of see as you get quotes in how they fit in your overall plan. Be diligent with managing this budget, but also allow for some splurges that are especially in line with my next tip. Tip number 3, determine your priorities as a couple for your wedding. Are you excited to dance the night away? Then you should invest in a killer DJ or a band. Have you dreamed of having a garden inside of a ballroom? Then you should invest in a bomb floral designer. Are you a super big foodie and that's your love language? Then you should have a divine caterer. By prioritizing your wedding desires together, you can budget your wedding accordingly. I would also highly stress that you communicate these desires to people that are helping you plan your wedding, like say your wedding planner, or even your parents if your parents are helping you plan the wedding. Tip number 4, set your date and location. It is finally time to figure out when and where you're getting married. If you have a specific date in mind that is super nostalgic to you and special, go for it. But if you don't have a specific date in mind, that's totally fine. Most people don't. I would definitely at least get an idea of maybe a season or a year. Honestly, just having a general, maybe a 3-month span of when you would like to get married is going to help all the vendors out a ton. Helps narrow it down, minimizes emails that we send to each other, and just makes the process a whole lot smoother so that you can get stuff checked off that to-do list quicker. So, those are my 4 tips that I think you should do immediately after getting engaged. Number 1, sit down and establish your guest list. Number 2, determine your budget. Number 3, determine your priorities as a couple for your wedding. And number 4, set your date and location. Doing this legwork on the front end of planning can totally help you determine where you want to invest your time, your money, and any other planning resources that you use. Also, I want to reassure you that it's totally okay to go back and reassess these 4 things. Actually, I encourage you to go back and reassess these 4 things. Throughout the wedding planning process, you should be checking in with this is just a marriage tip, just a relation tip from what I've learned. Anyways, you should just be checking in with your fiance and making sure that your goals are still in line with what for this wedding, or at least the budget is still in line with this wedding. Or it's like, do you even want that color scheme for your wedding? Don't care? Great. we're gonna do it. Sometimes, if you're like me, you get a little excited and then you're like, but I want the shiny thing. But the shiny thing does not align with the priorities that I said 6 months ago, but I want the shiny thing now. And it's totally fine to feel that way. That's just a conversation that you should have with your fiance. I hope these 4 things help reduce some stress for you, help prevent some conflict down the line because you've already had those conversations, and that they help give a clearer path for you as you plan your wedding. Let me know in the comments if you think I have missed anything, or if you think there are some other things that are just as important that you should figure out before you really start like hardcore planning. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.